Hi, welcome. I'm your host, Nilka Castañeda. In our show, I want to highlight organizations and individuals that not only support, but that also bring hope to our military families. Organizations that help find solutions to issues that we, as veterans, we face. From one veteran to another, I want to help you find what you need when you need it. Many veterans like you and me feel that transition out of the military is not an easy endeavor. The military has given us a purpose, one that we no longer have. We lose that when we retreat to civilian life. We struggle to reconnect with family and friends. We are often misunderstood and feel like we don't fit in. We keep looking for the same sense of camaraderie and community that we have felt while serving in the military. A new lifestyle might not be challenging or exciting enough. It's just not right. You deserve to have the best life where you don't feel lost, anxious, and overwhelmed after life in the military. You deserve to have balance between family and work and feel happy again after life in the military. You deserve to have your best life after serving in the military. That's why you have put me on a mission of restoring hope one story at a time. I start to highlight those that do more than say thanks to our military, but that actually show it. In this episode, I'm traveling all the way to beautiful Washington State to go meet Tammy Moses, the founder of Homes Are for Living and the Hoarding Solution. She's going to talk to us about an issue that military families often struggle with after so many years of serving in the military and countless PCS move. We tend to accumulate a whole lot of stuff, keepsakes and treasures that is hard to get rid of, and it start getting costly and hard to manage after your life in the military service. She's going to help you learn how to decide what to keep and what to get rid of in order to avoid costly moving and storage fee. She's going to explain how to recognize when clutter becomes hoarding, and most importantly, she's going to tell you about ways to deal with the clutter before it gets out of control. So hi.
Hi, how are you?
How are you doing? Thank you for meeting me here. This is a beautiful spot, all the way in Washington.
Washington to Washington, right? When we first met.
So, Washington D.C. to Washington State, yes?
Yes.
Pretty awesome. So, tell me a little bit of what you do and why you do it.
Well, I focus on the issue of hoarding, and I look at it from a very human perspective, because when you look at a situation and you see a lot of stuff, that's like the tip of the iceberg. That's not the actual issue. You've got a person that's dealing with some other underlying things, whether it's trauma or depression, anxiety are very common pieces of it. I never really intended to talk about this publicly, but I learned that I wasn't the only person that had grown up in this kind of extreme clutter situation. And I started to explore it and discovered that the people who see the issue and the people who are forced to live in it are very underrepresented. And so I have decided that we really need to have a voice. And I don't just mean family members. You have first responders, you have firefighters, you have real estate folks, you have family members and neighbors, and all kinds of people are impacted by this. And so I decided that I would take some of that painful experience and use it to fertilize the conversation, because I really see the need for us to have the conversation before it becomes this crisis, which is kind of how we operate now. More crisis management than mitigation.
It's a huge problem, right? That impacts everybody around us. The military too, right?
Yes, the military. And it hadn't crossed my mind how much we are impacted by it, and by the fact that we travel a lot and we gather mementos and photos I gather T-shirts. I have baseball caps. Magnets, and we just kind of gather it. But also bigger on a bigger scale, right? You might have swords or.
I had a couple of those.
Right? And I decided, hey, these are kind of cool. Or, like, personally, I climb Mount Fuji, and I have my Fuji stick, and that's going with me wherever I go. Like, I'm not letting that go because of the memories, right? And I think that's part of why it's hard to decide what we should keep, what we should let go, is because we are attached.
Yeah, and when you talk about 20 years service, more or less, that's a lot of stuff. If you do, like somebody like me that I went in 3 times, that's 3 ETS means a load of stuff, right? Because I went in with zero, but I came back with.
I went in with a backpack, right? And now I have a whole house.
I didn't have a house, but I had everything to for the house. And I did that 3 times. And now you have to think about getting a house, moving, and you get all this stuff, and the army's not paying for it anymore, or the military, whatever branch
Right.
you are. So one truck probably going to cost you about $10,000 to move from one state to the other. So what do? And you attach, and it becomes a problem. Then it becomes a horrible situation, right?
It definitely can be. And if you don't, I would say you have to figure out how to downsize and keep what actually is important to you. And I know there's theories around things sparking joy, but I think it also comes down to when you move and it's a fresh start. What do you want in that new spot? What are you trying to do? And a lot of times you're downsizing because it's very expensive to move. It's very expensive to haul a lot of things around. And if they don't have meaning to you, then why haul it around? But if they do have meaning, then you have to figure out, is it something you really want to look at or see every day? Is it worth it to you to spend a lot of money to haul it around? And then once it's there, are you dusting? Are you cleaning? Are you tripping on it if it's too much? So if you're looking at how do you decide what to keep, or how do you decide what to let go? If you're having a problem with that, you can definitely take photographs of things that you are attached to and have a sentimental aspect to. But maybe someone where you're at right now that would appreciate that item too, or maybe your kid would like it now to hang on their wall, or whatever it is. You might be able to find a way to still preserve the memory, but detach from the actual items themselves. And it frees up your mental state, reducing that clutter, and it frees up any additional space you might need in your new location. So I think it's helpful to figure out, and I do very simple. If I'm sorting, I do keep, donate, discard. And a lot of times that keep piece can still be a huge pile. And sometimes you still have to continue downsizing and finding people who would appreciate it, especially if it's sentimental things.
And that's the thing, like, we don't want to throw away everything, because then that makes it super hard, because now you're overwhelmed. But if you start with a small pile,
Mm-hmm.
fix that situation, and then you move on to the next pile,
Yes.
and then you start over again. You'll be surprised, like how much really, how much space you have, and how much comfortable you feel. And you brought that chandelier from Czechoslovakia. Everybody been there, got one, and you put it in your ceiling. Now it's kind of part of the house. So you're selling the house or you're moving the house. That's another consideration as well. Or you got that cuckoo clock in Germany or that trunk in Germany. So many treasures.
And that's just it. They are treasures, right? They're a collection of your time that you served. It's a collection of places that you have visited. Like I have two jewelry boxes, and I have more than that, but like I bought them on my 21st birthday. I bought them I believe I was in Singapore. And so I just, and those are things that I still have to this day that I'm downsizing other things, but I'm keeping those type of thing.
Yeah, I got me a Jimmy bag for my birthday. I want to forget that.
and when you start, well, I just would say in the military in general, like I flew across the country with a backpack, right? And so I had stuff from when I grew up and things, but I started with pretty much not much, in that situation. And granted, it's by design, you're broken down, if you will, so you can be built into, whatever branch you're in, or sailor, soldier, whatever, and that's the whole point of that. But I also have noticed that a lot of people come from difficult situations. That's why we end up kind of in the military. That's how we find an escape route from our lives, if you will. And so it makes a lot of sense to me that as we go, we're collecting things that are valuable or important to us. And I think it also needs to be understood that all of us have some kind of clutter or something that whether it's something small like a junk drawer, or it's a garage or a room. And unfortunately, sometimes it's a whole house that makes it really difficult to live. But if you start focusing on what you want and what you're trying to achieve, I think sometimes that can help you say, I don't think I need 50 sweaters. Maybe I can get away with 30. This t-shirt is frayed and there's not much else I can do with it. Let me use it up. Let me wear it out, and then I can toss it, and I guess it's leading to me to this idea that we save things for special occasions, right? And so some people never use any of those things because they don't feel like any occasion is special. And I have gotten to the point where I'm going to use that tablecloth, on the 28th of August because I can. I'm not going to just wait for Christmas. I'm going to use the beautiful things I have and not just save them. Because I have people in my family who have things that are 40 years old that they got at their wedding. They never used it, ever. It sat in a box till the box deteriorated. And to me, that is not joy. That is not living. Using the beautiful things that
The way they're supposed to be used.
The way they're supposed to be used. So life is a special occasion. I mean, you can create. I was excited about seeing you today. Is probably a kid on Christmas. Like I get to see Nirka. We've connected, but I haven't seen you in a while. And so I think it's important to look at experiences. Can you have an experience instead of buying a thing? And sometimes that's more valuable because of the time that you spent with the people in your life.
Yeah, that's what makes it special. Mm-hmm. Take plenty of pictures, of course.
Of course, pictures. And capturing the moment is I just think that's very valuable. I have photos that I look back at and sure I have a lot of those too, but they're taking up less space than.
Well, now, and that's one of the convenience of electronic, right, of digital age, that we don't even have to have the paper pictures anymore. It's all digital, right? Of course, we need a cloud to
Store everything and organize it.
to keep it back up, so don't lose all your memories neither. But we make it easier because clutter it affects everybody in the family, right? You have kids, especially.
Mhm.
Uh, Kids hate it, right?
It's very hard for kids, I think, to accept that situation because a lot of times you'll see your friends and your things like that. And you're like, well, they don't have stuff all over their living room, you know. I went to their house for a slumber party, but I can't have them to my house for a slumber party, type of thing. And the other part of that is you're teaching kids what's okay and what's acceptable, you know, to live in. And the life skills that you need aren't happening, you know.
And they're so fragile at that age, growing up. So you need to make sure that you teach them the valuable lessons that really you want them to be, stable, human.
Right, like you're trying to get them ready to fly, basically. And I know that can be hard because your kids are your light. I don't personally have kids. I'm Aunt Tammy, and so I enjoy that role. But I see the benefit of helping your kid get ready to go out in the world, and equipping them the best that you can.
Yeah, and they have to be comfortable, and they have to be comfortable to want to leave. And you can hoard them either.
Well, that's really true. Like your role is to kind of help guide them so they can fly well, But that's hard to see your babies, your kids, like move to that next level, because they're your heart and soul,
Yeah, I'm living that right now. You don't feel good, but it's the natural next step. Because they look cute as babies, but we forget about all the trouble that we had to do, all the extra chores that we had to do because they were babies. And now they're adults, and then we will have eventually have their own babies and stuff like that, and we want to get there, and we want them to be fully what they're supposed to be, true to themselves, and not having all that history or all that trauma.
It does lead to, like, you don't know how to maybe interact socially. There can be a lot of isolation and shame about a situation that you're forced to live in that you didn't create. And how do you go out and navigate in the world if you don't have kind of this baseline foundation of knowing how to boil water, knowing how to vacuum the carpet, knowing that you can go to your fridge and get food any time, basically. Just there's some basic security there. I think that helps kids establish good boundaries and good awareness. And if a home is focused on the clutter and you're tripping over it and you can't cook in your kitchen and you can't invite guests in, you don't really learn how to be a gracious host. And it's something I've struggled with because of that. Like, oh no, someone's coming. Instead of, oh yay, someone is coming to visit. There's a different response to it. There's a phrase called doorbell dread, where no matter how pristine your house might be, you're worried that someone's going to judge you and see the one dust bunny that you missed. Even if it's ridiculous to be worried at that level, it's something that still can plague you as you are going through your own life. And I'll just say also, clutter can cause issues between couples and families, and some people can tolerate clutter and other people are like, nope, zero clutter.
Yeah, and it's people react different ways. Some people you know, get bothered, and they never, you got to the point that everything has to be pristine and clean. Other people are just ignored, right? That's another way to cope with it. It doesn't mean that it's not there.
Right.
And there's also different levels of clutter. It's not like they put on the hoarding shows where everything is falling inside, you can barely walk. That's not just hoarding. There's other people that maybe they don't have such a extreme situation, but it's still dealing with hoarding. And if you let it, it will escalate to that point.
Right.
That's the problem. So it's recognizing the symptoms in the beginning so you can address them and you can do something about it before it becomes really bad.
And that and noticing it for yourself and for other people that you care about, you need to acknowledge that there's something going on here, and I'm concerned about it. And people who go into the extreme piece often don't want to hear you say anything. That there is denial, there is clutter blindness. But if you're at a point where it's not that severe yet, but you find yourself getting irritated because there's too much stuff on your counter, your kid can't find their backpack for school, your spouse says, hey, I'd like to have someone over for dinner, and you look around and think, no way. So it's recognizing you're at a place where there's an issue. And I see a lot of times there is some kind of depression issue happening or some lack of motivation. It doesn't mean you're lazy. It means your brain is not functioning the way it ought to be. And so even getting up to shower or put on makeup or get to work or do some of those things translates into not being able to clean your house or pick up, or and things just kind of fall into disarray. And if you notice that when that's happening and say, okay, I don't want to go any further down this road. So what can I do to not do that? And like you mentioned, it starts small. It's pick a basket. It's sort it out. It's deciding all that laundry will be put in the laundry baskets, and teaching your kids, you know what, Susie and Johnny, you need to put your clothes in these baskets and then we'll go wash them. It's, in a way, finding systems that help you not get overwhelmed. And you kind of have to figure out what that is for you and your family.
Hello, amazing viewers. Your support is invaluable. Your like, shares, and engagement have turned the channel into a vibrant community, and we're deeply grateful. Thank you. If you have been enjoying our content and want to see more, there's a simple way to support us. Hit that big red subscribe button below this video. Subscribing not only keeps you updated on our latest release, but also show you appreciation for what we do. And some exciting news, our next promo, it reveals fantastic products we have crafted with you in mind. From exclusive merchandise to cutting-edge tools, we got it all. By purchasing a product, you become a part of our mission to deliver valuable content and take this community to new heights. Every purchase helps us invest in better equipment, expand our team, and explore new possibilities. These products are just things that you own. They are a symbol of your support and love for what we do. So stay tuned for the next video. Check the links below and grab what catches your eyes. Let's embark on this journey together. Thank you for inspiring us. You turn this channel into a community, not just a platform. So let's continue to create.
We still have sad days. You asked why we're here, and one of the reasons that I chose this location to be interviewed is because not only does it represent what our country lost in the lives that were lost here that day, but we still continue to have losses every day. According to the VA, there are 22 lives per day of veterans who use the VA's mental health services that commit suicide. And suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. The people that die at their own hands, even with assisted suicides, they're in a sense dying at their own hands, are, excuse me, I'm watering up here. They're missing things, and the people that are around them, that love them, are missing things. And I coined a phrase not very long ago that for each suicide, the world skips a beat as it tries to find its groove again. And